Welcome to lesson, yes, that's right, it's 7 and 8 in one go. In the next two lessons, we're going to be focusing on SC18, describe some different methods of conservation. You're going to be focusing on a single task, which is to create a conservation management plan for red squirrels, which are endangered in the UK. So grab yourself a highlighter and read carefully through the first paragraph. Make sure you highlight the key instructions and key information. Okay, now read through the instructions really carefully. Again, I would highlight the really key information. So in summary, you need to create a presentation about how you are going to conserve the red squirrel. You need to make sure that you have enough money to use all of the choices that you choose from the list, and you need to make sure that you've explained every single choice thoroughly. You also need to make sure that you've got pictures of what you're going to be using as well. I don't mind if you use PowerPoint or draw a big poster or use a keynote, however you'd like to present it is fine. Before you get started on your presentation, you need to do some research. So click on the two links in blue to do your research. So make sure you have the actual file opened up rather than typing these in, and just click on the links. And the first article is a nice short article with a little video that's really cute. So read the article through, jot down some notes of important things that you want to include in your presentation. Okay? And when you have finished researching with that article, there is another one. So again, if you go back, you can click on the second link, and this one is a really useful one. I would spend a lot of time reading through this because this is essentially what you're going to be doing. They have come up with their plan of how to conserve red squirrels. So you can take a lot of their plan and use it for yourself, but you do need to think about how much money each thing is going to cost, okay? So you need to grab your highlighter again, and what I would recommend is that you read through the list of strategies. It's a really long list, and what I would think would be a good idea is to highlight the ones that jump out at you as ones that you would like to use. Okay, so highlight the ones you want to use and read really thoroughly and carefully. Don't just skim read. Okay, so let's start making our presentation. So remember, you don't have to do it like this. You could do it in all kinds of inventive ways, like a book, a poster, PowerPoint, but I like Keynote personally. So I'm going to choose a Keynote that I like the look of. And I'm going to make my title page. So it's always nice to start with the easy bit. So I'm going to call it Conservation Plan. And then I'm going to give it a subtitle of Red Squirrels. Oh, it's come up with Squirrels United at the suggestion there. Quite like that. Okay, so Red Squirrels United. And then I'm going to put Mrs. Lally as the author. And now I need a picture, because you should always have a picture on a title page. So I'm going to Google red squirrels. And then I'm going to find a picture that I like the look of. So I know that there are some funny pictures of red squirrels out there, so I'm going to try and find one of the amusing ones. Okay, I like the look of that guy jumping in the air. So I'm going to click on him, and then I'm going to hold down and save. And then I can add it into my thing by pressing on the plus arrow. And there it is in my thing. Just readjust the size and I've created it. Okay, so now I need to go on to the harder stuff where I need to start laying out my plan. So I'm going to press the little plus on the bottom left hand side and I'm going to add a new page. So I'm going to choose this page because it's already got space for a picture and it's also got space for a bullet point, and I really like to write in bullet point, as you know. So what I need to decide on is what's the first thing that I'm going to choose as a strategy. So I'm going to choose to do a breeding program because this has been proven as a really good way to reintroduce endangered species. So I'm going to put breeding program as my title. And then I'm going to do a subtitle. I'm going to put baby squirrels, because that's what it's all about. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and have a look at the kind of things I need to think about for the breeding program. So I need to think about the price, and I also need to think about the questions over on the right. So first of all, thinking about the price, well, it's very expensive to do in a zoo and it's expensive to set up an orphanage, and I don't think I really need that because there's plenty of forests around in England. So what I'm going to do is just establish them in a forest. However, it does need to be a protected forest. So that means I'm going to have to think about setting up some protected areas. So let's have a look up here, preservation. So actually preservation is very costly but very effective. So I've decided I'm going to set up some small forests to preserve my breeding pairs in. So I'm going to establish, now I need to decide how many, but I'll come back and decide that later. I'm going to establish some small protected forests. Oh, I always spell forests wrong. You know me and spelling, guys. And I'm going to now have to think about, well, how many am I going to put in that forest? If I go down and have a look at the questions, that will give me a good idea. So how many pairs shall I fund? Is there an ecotourism opportunity? How many people do I need to run these breeding programs? So let's go back and try and answer those questions as much as I can. So I think I'm going to have 10 pairs per forest. And I'm going to only need one breeder if I've only got 10 pairs. But there'll need to be one breeder per forest because the forests may be really far apart. And I can always add more pairs on later if I have some money left over at the end of doing my plan. So I'll start with 10 for now. And as I say, I can come back and change it later. So what else do I need to think about? Well, I need to think about how can I give those breeding pairs the best chance. So I'm going to provide some stuff for them. I'm going to provide them with food. I'm going to provide them with ready-made nests because they do breed in nests. And I'm going to make sure that there aren't already any grey squirrels there. So I need to provide protection from grey squirrels. And either I need to put them in areas that don't have any grey squirrels naturally, or I need to use some kind of protection to keep grey squirrels out, like some kind of fencing round, or I need to be willing to shoot the grey squirrels. So you can decide what you would do. I'm just going to keep it nice and vague, which you shouldn't do, but this is just an example, so I'm keeping mine a bit vague by putting provide protection. Okay, so that to me gives all the information that I need for my plan, or my first part of my plan, because remember I've got a lot more money to spend. I've got 3 million to spend. So I'm going to get my picture now, and I'm going to get a picture of a baby red squirrel because obviously this is about a breeding program. And oh yes, that one's really cute there. Oh look, he's so sweet. So I'm going to save the image and then I can add it. And then I can just shuffle it around, make it bigger so that it looks good. And then the last thing that I need to think about on my page, well, I've got this plan, or part of my plan, that I'm going to have a breeding program, but I need to think about how much it's going to cost. So I need to decide how many forests. So I'm going to have 5 forests. And again, I can come back later and adjust that if I need to. So I now need to figure out and calculate, well, how much is this going to cost me in total? So let's think about the forests first of all. How much are those going to cost me? So if I have a look, I decided on small forests. So a small forest is 100 grand per small forest. And so I'm going to have 5 of them. So that's 500,000, basically 500,000. So it's quite a big portion. My breeding couples are only 30 quid per pair. So let's top that up. So 500,000 for my forests, plus if I've got 10 pairs in each forest, that's 300 quid. And then I've got 5 forests, so 5 times 300, which is £1,500 for my actual breeding pairs. Look how long it took me to work it out in my head, guys, very slow. And then last of all, I need to pay 5 people to run these programs. But luckily, scientists don't require being paid very much. So I can get away with paying them probably about 20 grand each, which is not very much. So that would be a further 100,000 on top. If I could get volunteers, that would be free, but they obviously wouldn't be as knowledgeable. So sometimes volunteers are appropriate, but in this case, I don't think that they are. And that's me done with my first page. So I'm obviously not saying that that's what your first page should be, because you might choose a completely different strategy than me, but I'm just showing you an example of what I'm expecting, okay? So I would like you to now pause the video and do all of your pages. Remember, this should take 2 hours in total, this project. So if you've only been working on it for half an hour, that tells you didn't do enough research or you haven't put enough effort into your work. So make sure you're spending the right amount of time to do an impressive piece of work. Okay, so now you should be ready to upload to Shobi. So if you click on week 4, and then you can see there's conservation presentation. So click on conservation presentation, and then click on, I'm clicking on shared items, and you can click on yourself and post to here. So I'm putting upload your presentation here. And remember that the way that you do that is you click on the little blue plus at the side and then go add from computer. And once you've pressed on add from computer, you can press onto browse, and then you click on the presentation that you want to upload. If you've done a poster, you will have to take a photograph or scan it instead. And then it will upload. I've actually put my one there. It's only 2 pages, obviously, but it's just the 2 pages I showed you, but it's uploaded there in case you want to take a look. Okay, so if you have finished everything, then you could try out, if you have a look at the end of this topic booklet, you'll see there's all the normal sort of activities that we do, like revision activities, the word game that we play, some exam questions, all kinds of things that you could have a go at, and the summary notes. So if you've got a little bit of time left, because some people will be quicker than others, then have a go at one of those things. And that's the lesson completed. Well done.